All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your General Greene here on a beautiful Sabbath, July 5th, 2025, one day after 1776, the Declaration of Independence for the United States of America, the firing of muskets at redcoats and a king to declare victory. And so isn't it very interesting that it's not just me, but many of you telling me the same, that something big is coming, foreboding for the nation, nationwide, and all of you, most of you at least, can feel it. We can feel a sense of foreboding, something big about to happen. Again, if we just backtrack a couple of days, we of course just had the airstrikes in Iran. We had the conflict and reinvigoration of war in the Middle East with Israel and Iran. We've seen tremendous fallout with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Elon Musk has turned on the president, is even starting his new, what he is calling America Party. He's had a divorce, called for the Trump's impeachment, asked for him to be removed, replaced by J.D. Vance, who of course him and his cohorts funded. All kinds of craziness, all kinds of political discourse. So here's the question. What is it? What is coming? And what are the American people missing? More importantly, how do you prepare for all this? So I'm going to go over all this in great, and in some cases, grave detail today. And I love you all. You are all special, loved, made in the perfect image of Christ. Let no one else tell you differently. And just know that I love you. Here is a part of this platform today. So please like and share for those that have eyes to see, ears to listen, because we've been doing some bombshell content over the last few days. And I think a lot of people have missed it. Missed what we all already know. I talked about it as a clash of civilizations, a fifth epic, what I've dubbed as the fifth revolution. We've gone from the fourth turning now into the fifth of what I call the intelligent or intelligence age. And that this is all one big setup. So if you're just catching this video, maybe you missed my last two, you'll know that the fallout between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is actually a deep state staged psyop. It's all fake. And those in power are in on it. And they've orchestrated these events for a very specific reason. The question is, why? It's very easy to understand. Because we are moving into a new era, because governments, in most respects, are failing. Global governments worldwide are absolutely collapsing. Fiat currencies are going by the wayside. The advancement of technologies, distributed technologies, currency, cyber money, finance, Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, stablecoins are now taking over. And this means that governments worldwide, especially the United States, are in the process of and are going to continuously lose their power unless they adapt. So let me give you an example of this. If I held a sign during the 5th century and told you that modern Rome was collapsing, which it was actually towards the tail end of the 5th century, most people would have said that was crazy, wouldn't admit to it. If there was a mainstream media, for example, like a fake news CNN, they're not going to run the story. Even though Rome had already largely been taken over by barbarians and was falling, no one was going to admit it. They still had the air of fakeness that things were working. You know, that the system was still functional, even though it really wasn't. And even though they had already supplanted the old leadership into a new. Well, I liken it to that here in the 21st century because the tech oligarch barbarians are actually the real people in control, not your government. And this is why there's been a merger with the tech glitterati, as I like to call them. Big tech, big blockchain, big Bitcoin, and big AI surveillance. And of course, big transhuman agenda. This is the merger of human beings with chips and those types of technologies like the Neuralink. and other things like it that are really in charge, that really have taken over. They're the modern form of the barbarian overthrow, in my historical and present philosophical opinion, of who's really seated, taken over by design, the new system. And we've seen this even politically. I mean, again, Donald Trump's entire administration, whether or not he's doing good work or not, and I support the president and the things that he is doing, has entirely been funded by these same tech barbarians. All of them. They funded the administration, they own the White House largely, and they are the ones that, again, financed the presidency and presidential power. So now that they're in, they have an agenda to reformat, change, and transition in a transitional crisis into the new system, but to keep relative order in the fakeness of the old system as they actually crush it beneath their feet. And that's what they're doing now. And this is what we've seen, and I've seen for a very long time, and it's how I knew where Bitcoin came from, and I told you to buy it, invest in it, because it would take over the entire world. And I also want you to think about some of the initial criticism that was received of Bitcoin. Most people said things, well, governments aren't going to allow Bitcoin. They're not, that would challenge the system and challenge the government and their power and the order. So of course the governments are gonna get rid of it and not allow it. But what people didn't understand was that was actually the Trojan horse for the new system. And people would tell me things all the time like, Chris, you're betting against the government as if they're going to lose to Bitcoin, and that civilization as we know it is collapsing and it'll never be the same again. And I always used to look people right in the eye and be like, yeah, that's exactly actually what I am planning on, betting on, and investing on. And I'm planning on the collapse of the old system, and I'm planning on the demise of the old one, because I see with my own eyes and understand what these new tech barbarians are doing to overthrow the system and replace it anew. See, I always knew years ago they were forming a new city-state infrastructure, which again, Donald Trump is also moving forward with, which includes acquisitions of Canada and Greenland and the opening up of more of a new city-state infrastructure and a North American conglomerate corporation, more so than it was ever old America in the 1776 we're all familiar with, and it is a small closed country. Even though he's doing things like closing borders, etc., the bigger vision is completely different from the old. And Bitcoin's dethroning of the US dollar and blockchain being cemented along with stable coins as the primary new currency as it overthrows American hegemonic systems and the old financial order only proves my point. Again, Washington, D.C., Wall Street, and the new tech elites are largely completely in control of this transition. They have massive amounts of capital and funding and influence, own the political infrastructure, and in addition to that, have so much capital. I mean, look at companies like Coinbase and stuff. They're able to lobby for whatever it is they want. They're even cutting deals with people like CZ Binance, who's the wealthiest Chinese man in the world, because he's so friggin' wealthy. Governments have no other choice but to just kind of forgive and forget. Do you understand? That's what's happening. So it's a clash of society, it's a clash of civilization, and it's the end of the old. Now, of course, as part of the active PSYOP that they are running, it's very important that they control the silos, not just digitally and online, but physically on the ground, and more importantly, with common perception, what people actually think is happening. And then, of course, placing those same said leaders in positions of authority, power, and as faces to then corral the masses where they want to herd them for the next stage of events. Voila! Just like a magic magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Boom! You've got the America Party. And guess who's going to spearhead the quote-unquote people's movement? You know, the guy with all the government contracts who's allegedly the wealthiest person on the planet, whose CEO at Neuralink and himself said he wants to merge all human beings with a chip in their brain. and with the AI by 2028, end quote, and people like RFK Jr., again, that want you to have wearables by 2028, are now leading the supposed people's movement. These bourgeoisie tech oligarch barbarians, right? They're gonna lead the little guy, the blue collar worker. I really think this is kind of funny, actually. I mean, even from Trump's perspective, even though I love Trump, like Trump is nothing of the sort of a blue collar guy. He's golden toilets, massive mansions. I mean, did you see his penthouse in Manhattan? It was like all gold. There's like golden calves and lions everywhere and supermodel. I mean, he's not like, he's a great guy and I love him, but he's not of the people. He's not the traditional masses is what I'm pointing out. So I always think it's funny that the people allegedly, the Pied Pipers, Elon Musk, leading supposedly the people's resistance, is actually not a man of the people at all. I just think it's funny. But those are my personal grievances and opinions. Now, the reason they've constructed the America Party, as I've said in my previous videos, there's going to be such massive economic financial chaos, the foreboding that's going to happen and happening now nationwide, and such a wealth transfer and collapse from the middle class that largely no longer exists, and such a grave disproportionate transfer of wealth through brute force, whether or not it's lockdowns or pandemonium or toilet paper runs or fear-mongering or closures of your business or whatever predictive programming. I was even watching an old movie, Mission Impossible 2, and it foreshadows actually what happened in 2020. The whole thesis and premise of it was just predictively programming people for that stupid event. So again, everyone's in on it. Hollywood, the politicians, and Trump, by the way, isn't necessarily, I don't consider him a true politician. He's really an outsider, which is why they hate him so much. And the tech oligarchical class, which are the new barbarians essentially overthrowing Rome and positioning their own infrastructure for their takeover. And you have to understand the type of society that they want. Again, they view people as a problem. Let's just be honest with ourselves. And in a Malthusian, from that perspective, view the fact that human beings are growing too rapidly, population is out of control, resources are at stake, and that's why they push all these things like, I can't say it, but the stuff supposedly going on with the planet. That's why they push that agenda really hard, because it's all about amplifying those fears for what they're going to inevitably do. You know, with, I can't say the words, but you know what I'm talking about, the planet, what they say. But even though that's just, I'm sure humans have some kind of influence, but that's planetary. That's God's realm. That's in God's control. So they figured out a way to very methodically and systematically not just transfer power and wealth to themselves and the few, but to construct a new fifth turning revolutionary set of events, which will lead us into a new political system, which, as usual, the American people will buy off on unless you wake up and resist and do not comply, hook, line, and sinker. And so the next political movement will be led by people like Elon Musk that are meant to fill the vacuum. Other assets of the mainstream media, such as Tucker Carlson and others, have also been placed in that capacity, which is also why they faked their divorce from Trump a few weeks ago. I mean, think about this. At the very least, it's lowbrow and shows a lack of integrity. You get married to Trump and then 6 months later you turn on him and form your own new party. That means you're a dick or you're a Machiavellian a-hole. Do you understand? There's only two options. So the proof is in the pudding. Just the sheer fact that a new political party has been formed today on the back of supposedly the people's movement, who's not a man of the people in my view at all, Elon Musk, proves my point. Now here's the problem. The pandemonium in the economic, financial, spiritual, sociological, physical, mental, and digital collapse that we're living right through now, a clash of two civilizations, is going to pose problems for the elites, problems for Elon Musk, problems for Peter Thiel, problems for the oligarch billionaires. Now they know this and they must contain the fallout. That's another movie actually of Mission Impossible, Fallout. Because it's all predictive programming, all of it. Just like they predictively programmed that other event, 9/11, That was all predictably programmed. They've got a problem. And so their reformatting of society is to create a new city-state infrastructure system built, governed by an AI god, an AI president. I do believe Donald Trump to be the last physical president, just like, I'm trying to think who the emperor was of Rome in the 5th century, who they banished him and then gave him a pension and they later whacked him. I actually really believe Trump, metaphorically, is that figure as well. He's the last real person that will ever lead the United States of America. Just like the movie Top Gun Maverick said, and was at war with Tom Cruise, saying, hey, we don't need American pilots anymore. You're history, bub. And remember his line in the movie? He's like, well, that you might be right, but not today, sir. He said something like that. That's predictive programming. Just like the president is going to be replaced by an AI infrastructure moving forward. Now, of course, Elon Musk and others that funded, own largely, and he personally, if it's to be believed, dropped near $300 million towards Trump. So he could now shift into his new party, is now setting and teeing all this up. So a lot of people have not understood why there is this WWE split, divorce faction recently. They think, oh, wow, this is real. And like, Elon Musk's really angry because they're spending more money and his Doge movement failed and the big beautiful bill is spending another $4 trillion. They don't care about any of that. Trust me, they're going to spend more money than God. They will spend more money than you can ever imagine. Just like I told you that all these wars, etc., they're going to spend more money, create more inflation, print more fake US dollars, transfer it all into stable coins and all into Bitcoin. Again, this is a new system. This is the reset that they dubbed. This is the new what I've called the 5th epic, late stage, 5th turning intelligent or intelligence age. And so this is a whole new world. And it's a world that's going to be sold with gloss and sex appeal and things that sound good about, look, you know, we know all of you are out of work and you no longer have jobs, but it's great. You know, here's your UBI check. Your quality of life will only increase and become more efficient. Robots are going to give you back massages. It's going to be great. Just don't riot. Please don't resist. Please, we're begging you, comply. Just understand this is good. So it's all going to be sold as this is wonderful. You know, human beings will have so much time to explore art. It's going to be a new renaissance. You'll just be, instead of working your 9 to 5, you're going to be sculpting art and marble statues and sitting down with your wife. Your robot is going to come over with some grapes, massage your shoulders, tell you how wonderful you are. Like, oh, Mr. Greene, the general, you're so amazing. Here's some grapes, and would you like some dark chocolate? You look like you want some dark chocolate. And I'll be like, yes, please, Thomas, the robot. I'll have some more. And they're going to sell it that way. Again, Elon Musk is already selling it this way. He says that universal basic income is, I think, something along the lines, he dubbed it as like universal. What did he say? He made it sound really good as he's destroying all of your jobs with all of his robots and replacing you all human workers and factory work. And of course, removing manual driving and replacing people out of the cars and stuff. I think he called it like universal above income or something. Like, I forget what the actual word was, but it was something that sounded great. Like, oh, wow, we really want this UBI. This is going to be amazing to be a peasant in this new tech feudalistic oligarchical barbarian society ruled by a couple dudes that are married to other dudes that synthetically create their children and don't believe in God. Like, this couldn't get any better. Like, when are these microchips getting into our forehead, you freaking scum? Something along those lines. I forget what he called it. And so all this is, and I'm going to read you a succinct X post that I put out because I think I worded it fairly well. Here it is, quote, crazy how many people still don't get it or understand. It's like living among blind people. Elon Musk just created the America Party and faked his divorce from Trump to create a vacuum for the great transitional crisis and what I'm calling the 5th intelligent epic revolution. The 5th turning, the 5th revolution. They have to contain the clamoring masses in Luddite fashion as the greatest wealth transfer in human history occurs. You know, build a new city-state, merge with Canada, take over Greenland. You know, the long laundry list of political action items. as the greatest wealth transfer in human history occurs. The elites placed Elon to infiltrate the people's movement, to ride in as savior, to deliver the UBI they already had pre-planned and preordained. They invented AI, of course, invented the robots replacing you, invented the transhuman agenda, actually recommended the unequivocal stuff, the lockdowns, all of it. And now they're going to sell you the solution to the chaos they caused and the human replacement that they engineered. They're going to sell you the solution to the problem they're responsible for. Just like the banks bailed themselves out in 2008-09. These guys are geniuses. Go again, watch the movie Mission Impossible 2 with Tom Cruise. I like Tom Cruise. What's the whole thing there? They've got a solution to the thing that's spreading. So they create the thing that's spreading to give the solution to make more money and to cement more power. It's the same thing the government does. It's the same thing Elon does. Look, Sam Altman invented OpenAI, which is a cool technology, and I do use it, and I find some use cases for it. But it's not God. And now that it's creating a problem, and it's allegedly growing sentient, where I don't really believe that, and there's all this loss of jobs and human work and all these kinds of things, now they're trying to figure out, well, how are they going to redistribute this to the peasant class before all of society crumbles, collapses, and the people wake up that they were stolen from, and it was all an inside job, psychological operation, PSYOP scam. UBI, okay? So they're building a very socialistic, but even in a little bit more like capitalist format, socialism, which of course will be distributed to all the lower level underlings that weren't smart enough to invest in Bitcoin and crypto and real assets and blockchain, who actually bet on their government winning, which is already lost because you're seeing the oligarchs have already overthrown it. They're in control now. And again, Bitcoin wasn't banned. It's embraced by Trump, the government, the White House, Wall Street, sovereign wealth funds. It's going to become a part of the strategic world reserve here in America and worldwide, and is actually the most valuable asset in the world. So everyone that, thought it was a scam was all proven wrong, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're broke. And what I've been saying, as crazy and as outlandish as it's all sounded, is actually what has exactly happened. Even my dad has said this in the past. He's like, man, that's a dark look of the future, Christopher. He's like, I don't know if I can believe that. But then a couple years, 5 years passed, right? 10 years passed. My dad's like, yeah, I understand what you saw. I see it now too. And so now people are waking up. Again, this is why we built the Island Project. People are waking up. They understand the flood is here, just like in Noah's days, that the gates of the flood is now hammering the populations. And all of this was created by these same people that now will tweet their little horn, leading all the rats. Hi, I'm Elon. They call me the Pied P. I've got Neuralink chips for all y'all. Oh, I'm the wealthiest man alive, but I'm a man of the people fighting back on your behalf. Oh, Trump is bad now. Trump bad. Bad Trump. I have a new political party called America. Oh, I used to be poor. My dad owned a diamond mine. We were very poor. Really, trust me on that one. Oh, I don't need government subsidies or tax credits or special bailouts. I promise. So you understand the picture. It's a freaking psychological operation, PSYOP, leading a bunch of idiots and blind people to the next segment and segue of events that, of course, these people are smart enough to have figured it out because they honestly do have superior intelligence to most Americans. That's just the honest truth, and that's why they're in charge, and that's why they govern. Because the American people, most of them at least, are not as smart as these other people. Love them or hate them, that really is the truth. The cream does rise through to the top, in my opinion, and these people are very intelligent, smart. However, in addition to that, they also have control over the system, which means they have an unfair advantage over you too. Again, Wall Street gets unlimited bailouts and unlimited free money. BlackRock can call up the central bank today, get 100 million, a billion, 100 billion instantly for free, for nothing, never even have to pay it back. Even if they go and spend all the money and all their, let's say, investments collapse, they just call up the government again and be like, look, we're systemic. We're going to have to come up with a new reorganization plan so Larry Fink and others, can buy more yachts. So understand it's unfair too. So it's not like they're just smarter, but because they're in control as the barbarian oligarchs that they are, that have circumvented 1776, overthrown what I believe was once the constitutional Great Republic and the founding father system, also make the rules, print and own the currency presses, and are now printing fiat. This is the real interesting part. They're printing fiat now to buy stable coins. So the stable coins buy the fiat, and then they're going to use the stable coins and the fiat, which is new unlimited fiat, to now pump Bitcoin, right? So they have this whole printing press. They're printing fiat of the debt they can never repay, the soon-to-be 41 trillion the Pied Piper's complaining about, even though he's responsible for, I think near $40 billion in taxpayer funds in just the last several decades. It's enormous. I mean, this guy's burned more carbon fuel and exhaust smoke and ash into our skies with SpaceX and his multiple Lear jets and all those kinds of things, none of which are electric at all, than any human being alive. I mean, disproportionately, he's the biggest polluter. All the satellites, we can't even see our stars anymore. They're probably going to crash on all of our heads at some point. Cars controlled by an AI hive mind that are going to be hijacked and or hacked, driving everyone off cliffs, locking you in your cars. There's been many stories of people have been locked in their Teslas in the heat of 110 degrees in Arizona with their babies inside, frying like a fried egg. So again, just understand that this foreboding of what's occurring nationwide that you all feel is very real. Just like it was in the 5th century with the collapse of the Roman Empire. And the reason for that is the mainstream media is not going to tell you the empire's collapsed. Not even Trump. And he knows that to be the case. He doesn't want to freak people out. They're still trying to create and maintain some kind of order and some kind of facade as they lead you again to the crisis point, which I think will be a great reckoning, which is this financial transfer, and then unlock the new system. There's a word for it. It's called the golden age. Again, I back Trump. I understand what he's doing. I really do. But I'm telling you, the people that are behind him, the people above him, they have a really highly intelligent, masterful plan at work here. Even Sam Altman said this over the weekend. He says, I don't like identities or to identify myself. I was like thinking to myself, well, how do you identify, dude? Do you like change every day of the week or something? Like, I don't know. Are you a frog today or a clown the next? Or, I mean, like, I don't. But he was like, I don't really like identity politics, or I don't like identifying myself in particular groups. But I think that everybody should get some kind of redistribution of all the tremendous amount of wealth that we've all created over the last, several decades. I think it should be like redistributed. So again, they're all teeing this up. Even Jack Dorsey, a deep state plant psyop of the CIA, who sold to Elon Musk, of the same thinking of the word, the same cloth. Okay. What he said during the lockdowns in 2020 on his X account, Dorsey's account, you can look this up, pinned to the top, like in his description was, after we conquer this hideous bat poo. Now I'm paraphrasing a bit and I'm going to quote him. After we conquer this hideous, unforgiving poo flying everywhere, even though they tell you you're going to Mars, which are all lies. Elon Musk gave up on that. That's what Peter Thiel has said. He's given up on it. And all these lies about sentience of AI and how it's hyper intelligent, they're going to cure cancer and all these lies. But they couldn't, that bat poo was just going everywhere. Toilet paper pandemonium. Everybody just stay in your homes, everybody. Do you have a diaper? Put it right. So all those lies which were just freaking lies. But even he said after they fight the bat poo, okay, that their next hardline agenda was, well, it was women's rights actually, and it was also UBI. So again, they've had UBI for a while. They're going to start rolling it out as America collapses. Now, they also know that our cities will continue to degrade. That's why there's all these problems, and Trump's actually trying to clean that up because with the wealth distribution now and people rolling through with needles and pooing on streets all over San Francisco, which again, who's responsible for that? I would argue that the tech barbarian oligarchs are. Weren't they the guys there the whole time building all the wealth at all these tech companies? They obviously didn't treat the city too well, and they must have not redistributed the wealth that well because now there's a bunch of people just pooing all over each other with needles in their arms and, you know, in a dangerous place that notice all the tech elites now have fled. They're all fleeing into the real patriot states like Texas and basically moving in where the cowboys live. You notice that? See, they're very scaredy cat roaches, in my opinion. I can't say the word, but they're the problem. Then they go and infect everywhere else, you know, and they're like, oh, I think Texas looks pretty good now after we destroyed San Francisco with all of our fanciful ideas and stuff. So they always create the problem, then they leave. I mean, even Peter Thiel's out, man. Like all of his places now are in Maui. He's been investigating Uruguay. Actually, some of you probably aren't aware of that. Obviously, he owns places out in New Zealand, huge bunkers, underground nuclear fallout shelters, and places like Miami. I know he's really like, because, you know, there's certain things and lifestyles there, if you know what I mean. Okay, guys? Again, all these guys are guys to guys, all of them. And I want you to keep that in mind, too. Again, it's something you should ask yourself, because I know a lot of people blindly just follow all these people, but like, is that representative of the men and or women, even the women that maybe you're following? Or are they representative of your value system? Because if they're not, you probably shouldn't allow them to make these transitional decisions for all of humankind. So think about it. When, and nothing against people, you can be free. I don't care what people do. I'm honestly not judging. That's in God's realm. I love all people, no matter who you are. Okay, so I just want to make myself clear. But understand, those are the people actually programming the AI bots based on how they feel. Okay, they don't believe in God or anything. It's just, whoops, looks like we're sentient now with the AI. All the wealth's being transferred. Riots in the cities. Whoops, I guess I didn't think that one through. Hold on, I gotta pop one of those pimples on my forehead. Right? So these are the people actually unlocking Pandora's beast out of the box. And I think in very biblically scriptural, prophetic way, the ones ushering all this stuff in. So you understand that spiritual component as well. So this video, I really just wanted to echo some of the previous thoughts so that maybe you could better understand, and also just share with you, you know, what's going on under the hood here. So you better understand. Just know that you're being lied to. Know that the theater is all BS. Just like the next UFC fighter, one I think next year is going to be in front of the White House. Guys, this is no different than the bread and circus pauper Hunger Games of the movies or ancient Rome, okay? Like, look, they know as long as they entertain the American people and keep them numb and hooked on their devices, not reading books, keep them in schools, you know, to, you know, teach them how to be good little slaves, and then use fear of the media to scare the crap out of them 24/7. I always love that one. People will tell me, Chris, it sounds like fear mongering. Bro, I'm just telling you the truth. I wasn't your television that literally told all of you people you were going to die in 2020 unless you panicked. They're the ones that are fear mongering you. I'm literally just telling you the truth that they're lying to you. You understand? So again, I always think that one's funny too. Like, well, Chris, this just sounds so scary. It's like if you turn on your news, they're constantly scaring you 24/7. Like, listen to us. Don't worry, it'll be okay. Just do what you're told, okay? Do what you're told. This is CNN and I'm Wolfie Blitzer. It's gonna be really scary out there, guys, today. Really scary. We've shut down all travel. Hold on. Hold on, I'm getting something else here. Huh? Lockdowns? Lockdowns! Lockdowns! We'll now go to a commercial break. And then they run you a commercial with like, hi, I'm going on a tangent. Then the next commercial's like, Bob used to be fat and lazy until he got this new pill. Now he is younger and he feels better than he ever has. There are complications, of course, and some other things that might happen, like terminal illness and a stroke, heart attack, death, imminent death, psychotic break episodes. Your penis might fall off, but he's doing fine and he lost 20 pounds. And then it goes to the next, commercial. I could do better, but I'm not allowed to say a lot of those words. So I could actually make it even funnier than that even sounded. I'm kind of like keeping it PC. So the point is, all of this is a psyop. It's all a part of the plan. And all they're going to do now, and this is another reason to take my advice, do everything that I've shared with you, all my recommendations from buying Bitcoin to telling you and predicting the lockdowns before they happen, told you what they were going to do there. I'm telling you now to get into islandproject.com, own physical assets along with us and our amazing team, improve your life, live your investment, get out of their system. See, that's the primary takeaway. You want out of their crumbling system. You want to build your own infrastructure and ecosystems now as this clash of civilization occurs. So, hey, take advantage. If they roll out UBI and you're able to get, I guess, and just create more, it's just going to create more debt. I'm sure people are going to need it because they created the problem. That's the problem. They create the problem and then they find the solution to the problem they freaking created. But it's all Orwellian, Machiavellian chess play moves, and it's all by design, and it's what they've intended. So I hope I've made myself clear. Maybe next video I'll move on from this direct topic, but this is really where my mind is mostly at right now, because not only am I following crypto and the investment world, I'm watching psychology, studying history, and then I'm seeing what the Pied Piper and others are doing and how they're creating factions that are they're just, again, leading you off a cliff. That's all they're doing. So it's going to sound good. Trust me. I mean, the America Party sounds great. Fighting back against the debt sounds great. Elon Musk spearheading it on the behalf of the American people sounds good on paper, but none of it's true. Again, you know a man by his fruits, and all you have to see is what Elon Musk is doing, inventing, encouraging, and selling you across all of his companies. And all of them remove sovereignty, remove freedom, remove choice, okay? And also marry and remove your human qualities. The minute you put a microchip or a neural lace in your forehead, you are no longer human. You are a machine. You know a man by his fruits. And even if you don't believe what I'm saying about this Machiavellian plan, which I'm 100% correct about, and I know to be true, it's just like I predicted the lockdowns and the invasion of Ukraine and the attack strikes on Iran before they were in the air. And I predicted all of that, even the protests of the new King's Day protests, these previous weekends, and so much more. 2008-09, the rise of Bitcoin, long laundry list. But even if you don't believe that, and all you believe is what you see, what you've just witnessed is a man who spent $300 million promoting Donald Trump, wedding him like it's his perfect wife, parading all around the White House, singing Donald Trump's praises, pitching cars to Americans in front of the White House, living at Mar-a-Lago and the White House, jumping on stages telling you Trump's the greatest guy in the world as he shows his horns, right? I mean, just from the top of his lungs, all this time, only now to call for his impeachment, ask for J.D. Vance, who he really wants in, to replace him, starting his own America Party, lambasting, talking crap on the president 24/7, even if that's all you see, because you're not thinking from the intellectual, governmental, societal perspective, and you're not looking at the optics of what the deep state is actually doing and the intelligence agencies are running through their ops, you would still have to have the conclusion, because it's facts, that, wow, this guy's like probably a bad guy. Like, he doesn't have any integrity, obviously. I mean, it's like he had an annulment with President Trump in just a matter of a few months. So that means he's a terrible judge of character, has no integrity, and is a backstabber, and he's had a psychotic break and maybe he's on drugs, like Donald Trump insinuated, or two, he's a dark horse, dark MAGA Machiavellian plant with him and his tech oligarch barbarians, and they have a satanic ball deep state agenda that they're rolling out in the most Machiavellian, terrible, sinister way that I can't even share how bad it actually is going to be. And I think we all know the truth of what it is. So guys, like, expect again to be deceived. The people are being deceived by a show, right? Barnum and Bailey and fire coming down from our sky, and wow, we're going to go to Mars. Oh, no, you're not. They couldn't even stop the bat poo. How are they going to take you to Mars when they don't have a cure for male pattern baldness? I've said this for years. And they couldn't stop the bat poo. The bat poo was spreading rapidly, guys. Remember, they shut everything down and closed your business because they couldn't stop it. But they're telling you you're going to colonize. This is so outlandish. You're going to colonize Mars by sending AI robots up there that can't even get past the Van Allen belt. And you've never been to the moon. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's all lies and BS. And they're going to send those robots and AI, once they get to the uninhabitable, burning, fire pit, hellish planet, which could only be described as demonic hell itself, because there's not even oxygen there. Elon Musk even recommended sending a nuke there, blowing it up with a nuclear BOMB, and then to change the atmosphere, and then have the robots build and self-replicate themselves into other robots, and then upload your freaking consciousness into the robots. And then they want to send in a window a bunch of dumb Americans when his spacecraft explode every day. His last SpaceX rocket or whatever it was exploded in a ball of fire and glory just like 2 weeks ago. But he wants to put your butt in there, even though he's now backtracked on the whole colonization. So you go off there and you're like in the rocket. For how long are you supposed to be in the rocket? Like months? And then you're going to land there, hang out with the robots and die. Like, these are the most outlandish, idiotic, ridiculous, insane asylum, bull crap, Barnum and Bailey pitch jobs that I've ever heard from literal madmen that are not telling you the truth and are selling you smoke and mirrors and total BS. I mean, the thing I love about what we do here at Island Project, we own physical stuff, real properties. We don't have any bank debt. We don't get any assistance from the government. We're self-made. All of my members are beautiful. They're Christians or they fear and love God. We have people of other faiths too. Common ethos, common vision, love liberty, love America, don't comply, build stuff, love people, make disciples, have children, don't want any microchips in their forehead, want none of it, and just want a peaceful, free existence to worship our God and have free speech and love other people and live a good life while we're here. And then, go to the kingdom where the real mansions are. Like, that's pretty epic. These people are anti-God, don't believe in God, want a chip in your forehead, want you locked in your house, are removing your freedom and autonomy, removing your sovereignty, want to put you in cars only their AI hive mind board control, who don't have your same morals, don't have your same ethics, have a completely different lifestyle, right? They can do whatever they want. That's fine. Everyone's free to do that. I have my own libertarian perspectives. That's fine. Be free to do what you want. Just don't encroach on me, bro. See, that's what people need to understand. That Elon Musk's intent is to enforce self-driving cars. Because they'll say things in the future like, well, you can't get insurance for it. It's too dangerous for you to drive manually. It's too expensive to issue that insurance policy. Because they'll say the studies that Elon Musk are also paid for through his own companies for his own self-interested profit and gain. He'll pay for the studies that say his AI is safer, and it's safer for the computer chips to drive you around everywhere. So they're going to remove your right to drive. Because people say, well, he's not going to get rid of it. That would be illegal. No, they'll phase it out over time. Same thing with the chip in your forehead. You won't be able to get paid. You won't be able to open your car door. You won't be able to get your UBI assistance, which he's going to roll out with his X payments platform, which I also predicted. I predicted that. His goal is one centralized AI, all-controlling database from Doge at the government, from his black horse turn of events with Trump, to now his New America Pied Piper party, to everything else, is one giant data mining, hive mind, Borg system, which only himself and his friends and the back doors to the DOD and DARPA have access to and control and dictate. And that's the bottom line. So they want to remove all of that, remove all of your rights, and in my opinion, all of your safety. Again, you are not going to be safe allowing computers to make life and death decisions for you. That will make you very, very unsafe. I'll tell you personally, I mean, guys, like, imagine if you couldn't make your decision not to comply in 2020. Imagine if you're in a car and you're not able to make a life or death decision yourself. I don't know about you, I want to make that decision. I don't want Elon Musk making that decision for me. Because if I'm about to get on, God forbid, on a head-on with Elon Musk, guess who's going to win? Not Elon. The general's going to win. Because I will protect my own life and liberty. Just like he wants to protect his own life and liberty. But the difference between me and him is I actually believe in the freedom of actual choice. Not total domination, world domination, an overthrow of the system where he is dictator and no one else has any other freedom for theirs and their own. So again, everything that we've designed is about that, where we can embrace freedom and embrace victory and embrace Americana, build wealth together, grow as human beings together, grow our faith together, all these incredible things, and build a breakaway system in society that actually competes with theirs. We're competing with the city-states that Thiel and others are now building. And nothing against these people at all. I have no hate in my heart or anything. Like, they can do what they want. It's fine. Okay, but that's actually what's happening. So, you know, people are going to have to make a decision, and that is, will you take the mark? Are you taking a chip in your forehead? Will you allow these tech oligarch barbarians to remove your power and your rights? Are you going to comply to the next lockdown? There will be another one. Will you comply to the next fear-mongering? Are you going to just go along with it as they roll out UBI and destroy real wealth creation? I mean, look at people now. You can buy Bitcoin still very cheaply at 110,000 or whatever it's trading at. It's going to be at $1 million. You're making you and your whole family poor by not owning it. You're getting poor by not owning Island Project and taking aggressive action and getting in because of either ignorance or stubbornness. Because I've heard it 1 million times. Again, if I had a Bitcoin for every time people told me the government would ban it, or I had a Bitcoin for every time that someone said that they wouldn't allow Bitcoin, and that, hey, you're betting against the system, no way Bitcoin's going to replace the system, I'd be much richer than I currently am, because it's exactly what it has done. And it's exactly what Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and others have engineered, are actively working on, and they are the ones in charge. You have to understand, these people are more powerful than the political people that you see in Congress. Private corporations own the United States through lobbying and now technology. Modern armies aren't needed. They have drones, AI software, and intelligent machines that move autonomously in places like Ukraine. There's no need for a standing army anymore. There's no need for the World War Is and World War IIs of the past. Also want to comment on the fact, too, as I'm now going an hour again, was that, but a lot of you said you actually like the long-form content. And I will do short-term content in the future, because I know sometimes that can be more palatable. But you remember the Y2K fear? Remember how everyone said that the computers would all fail once we hit past, the year 2000? I actually don't think that's happened yet, because that will happen in an AI sense. Again, there's vulnerabilities to Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and all their sentient alleged AI systems. They're not foolproof. So I actually think what they're actually creating is a technological Tower of Babel that will fail and be destroyed by God. But it will actually lead to the worst series of events that you could ever imagine. Like I'm talking like run on food, run on water, electrical power outages, loss of your bank account information at the too big to fail banks, ATMs won't work, planes, God forbid, fly out of the sky, air traffic control. We've already seen stuff like that. Again, what they're creating is a singular source of failure. And that is why it's really important we decentralize ourselves and distribute out. Notice how we own properties in various states and soon to be different countries. And we don't have any debt, so we're not dependent on the traditional financial system. Then we're launching a blockchain, which is in the cyber sphere as well, that can operate remotely, interacting with the physical assets in the community, that doesn't have any need for centralized power control or a government system. Just like Bitcoin is self-reliant. It doesn't need a bank to verify that you've got money in there. When you're logging into your bank account, there's a central server that says, oh yeah, zeros and ones are there. Bitcoin has this all authenticated, distributed, and decentralized around the world. It's a superior technology. It is really the turning into the next great innovation. So we can use it as a weapon for good too. And I hope you understand that that's what we've built. We're using it as a weapon for good to combat the evil. Because most of you acknowledge this, and you tell me all the time, well, this sounds terrible where they're leading us. It is terrible. It sounds like they're destroying society. They are. It sounds like, this is going to lead to an economic crash. It will. That's what they want. That's what they're doing. But it's going to be different from what you've seen in the past. 08 and 09 was its own series of cascading events. This one's different. This one will just shift the wealth into the new system, and then it's going to create a huge vacuum problem. And you know who's going to be leading those people that are really pissed off? Again, you understand. And so the New America Party, as we approach the next selection, is really going to be about this wealth has really been redistributed unfairly to the tech AI elites. All the money is moved into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's now at $1 million. Most people are broke, and there's just a few rich people. Hey, we got to do something about it. Let's form a new political system with universal basic income. We'll call it America because the Republican model didn't work any longer. And then that'll be the next PSYOP leading the herd to destruction. And as long as they can get people compliant enough where they don't revolt, that will help them usher in their next series of events into end times. And of course, the mark of which you're not going to be able to buy or sell. And then the full integration of human beings with technology. And that way they can control you. Terrible, isn't it? So again, you can be a part of the solution or you can be a part of the problem. And you're also a part of the problem through inaction. If you're not taking any action at all and you're just like, oh, someone else, Chris is going to do it for me. Him and his team and his father, well, they'll solve all the problems. Or even if you're relying just on, people give up a lot too. I see this a lot. They're like, well, God's going to do all of it, so I'm going to be lazy and do nothing. God will judge you for that too, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Like, you can't just be an ostrich, put your head in the sand and be like, well, I'm just not going to do anything because it all sounds so terrible and the tribulation is here and we're just going to be called up. So I'm going to just eat Doritos all day. I'm going to tune this out, la, 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 la. And I'm just going to keep stuffing my face, and do nothing. Well, that doesn't help anything. And that's not what God intended for you too. I mean, imagine if Noah, like Al Bundy, instead of building the ark, was like, I'm not going to build that ark, dude. And he just put his hand down his pants. Hey, Peg, can I get another Bud Light? Right? I mean, God would have pulled a Jonah on him and probably had another fish swallow Noah until he was spit out and started building. Or he would have struck him with a lightning bolt, for crying out loud. So a few minutes left. Those are my thoughts. I love you all. Maintain the faith. And know, again, you guys are beautiful. I love you. If you have any quick questions, I could orate maybe an answer to something if you have a question. We have had a lot of calls, a lot of new applications, and a lot of new funding. Our islandproject.com private founders round is closing. So it really is your last chance to get in. Make sure you do fund, add to your units, DCA. We have some beautiful announcements coming, more property announcements. I'll be giving you guys a big tour, too, of our latest property acquisition with no bank debt. I'm really excited about. We've got more testimonials, members enjoying themselves, doing really great, big, powerful things. We're also getting ready for our token launch into all of this as well. So Yeah, how will you fly? Good question. Well, we're building our own transportation networks. So, for example, all of our properties, and this will expand with more funding and all the things that we're building, but we already have, like, for example, private transportation for all of our Jeeps, privately owned. Our members use all those Jeeps, all those cars. I have a private transportation company. You guys probably heard of it, Rent Maui Jeeps, limos, Black Op cars. I've got my own people that do all of it just for our members. It's just a private ecosystem. Just like the billionaires fly into Maui, they bring their ecosystems with them. They bring a chef, they bring security, they bring their own food, they bring their own assistants, they bring their own car, they bring it all. We're a private ecosystem. So in the future, that'll include charter airlines, charter jets, partnerships with certain companies that do that, and that is all privatized, owned outright by the Island Project, and our ability to access our ecosystem. And the same thing even with the financial side of it. You know, you're buying real estate, which is very easy to understand, but the crypto component is just a whole nother component, which of course is digital in the cyber world, just like Bitcoin. So you've got physical assets and you also have cyber assets, or the decentralized assets, just like the real property is decentralized, and we've married them together to the best of both worlds. So again, I didn't comply to anything in 2020 at all. Didn't do anything they said. None of it. Traveled, went out, you know, walked the beaches. My dad was body surfing when they had bullhorns telling people to get out of the ocean. We just don't comply, dude. It's not hard. People ask me this all the time. What are you going to do when they say to do this? Nothing, dude. We're just going to be like, take a hike, to put it politely. No. I mean, 1776, dude. Have you ever heard of those? Like, again, you know, defend yourself, for crying out loud. Don't comply. And it's the same thing even with states and governments. Look, if one state we're invested in becomes a little more too tyrannical or something, you just move elsewhere. You take all your freaking money, all your assets, and you put it to another place that's free. That's why we own stuff everywhere. That's why we own in Utah, too. I parked a lot of money over there, about $6.5 million now over there of no bank debt, because it's Utah, man. It's the breadbasket of America over there, deep in the mountains. Great Mormon people and infrastructure and prepping and those kinds of things. It's a good place to have some ownership. So that's what we're doing. In the future, that can include Middle America, can include other ranches. We have plans for that at some point in the future. I got a lot of hunters and stuff in my project that have, you know, would be very interested, for example, in buy just a big ranch out in Wyoming. Even run the thing. Even create a business around it. You know, all of these things make money. And so you have to be thinking about what's sustainable long term. Where is the direction of the economy going? And where is the dispersion of wealth going to move towards? Well, I figured it out a long time ago with probably a lot of you. Bitcoin, the internet, social media, e-commerce, now decentralization, and now the biggest opportunity in the world is tokenized fractional real estate as they tokenize real-world assets, which we're at the forefront of, that will create more inflation and only elevate and raise prices of the best assets further. They want to do that. They want to remove your ownership. Remember, they told you in 2020, they want you to be broke and happy. That's what they said. And how they accomplished that is raising the price of real-world assets so you can't afford it. People can't even afford it with debt now. Mortgages are too expensive too. So people can't even, that's a scam. But now most people are priced out even of financing. They can't get it because the elites are removing it. That's their goal. That's actually what they want. They're not trying to help you. These people want as much wealth and power as they possibly can, and they want to remove ownership. And the reason is the society as it once was has collapsed, and they have to build a new economic model as a result of the technological inventions. Technology, for example, Mercedes-Benz said in the 1900s that there would never be, I think, more than I forget how many cars on the road, but they put a number on it. And the reason they said is because there wouldn't be enough chauffeurs to train that would drive the rich people in the car. You know, or the horse and buggy being replaced by an automobile and the new Ford that came out by Henry Ford, or the Model T. It's the same thing now. Technology has overthrown the old system. So you either get Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, get into real assets, get into tokenized real estate, innovate, invent, and decentralize yourself and become sovereign, or you don't. Your old way of life will collapse. Everything, Social Security, all of it. That's why they're moving into the new. God bless. I love you. Maybe I'll do a Q&A in the future where it's just Q&A, because I could speak for a long time on that. But get in, guys. islandproject.com. Closing the door soon. Make sure you fund. Make sure you fill out an app. Call my dad, 808-442-2934. See our terms and disclaimers, and I hope you have a beautiful Sabbath Saturday.